So who do you think is gonna win the World Cup?
Win the World Cup. Oh my God. So I think we can do another talk about this, but I will do a quick preview. But basically, I was doing like some mathematical modeling and looking at. Oh my God, there's this one thing called XG. It stands for extremely good. It kind of is often used in like sports to do statistical analysis of outcomes of games, where you basically pair up the amount of goals a team normally scores, and you can like use that to like statistically predict the outcome of a game. However, because of like the regional weighing of these games, you have some teams that score way more goals than they should. Like Japan, for example, has a very, very XG because they regularly win in Asia against like smaller countries. Like they win like 10-0 against Mongolia or like 10-0 against Laos, you know? So Japan has like a really, really high XG because they have like some of these games. But then you can weigh it with the ELO ranking of teams. Do you know what ELO ranking is?
No, I don't.
So ELO ranking is the same ranking system that is used for ranking chess players. And also, like, it's also used in a lot of esports. It's, for example, used in Age of Empires. You have like an ELO ranking, and basically, you gain points if you beat. You gain a lot of points. Let's say you're like a medium player. Let's say you're a player that has an ELO ranking of 1500, and you beat if you beat a player has an ELO ranking of 1600, so way higher ELO ranking, you will gain a lot of points, and they will lose a lot of points. So the ELO ranking basically takes gives you points for every game, or you can lose points in every game. And if you beat an opponent who has like a similar ELO ranking, you'll get maybe like 5 additional points. If you beat an opponent with a low ELO ranking, a lower ELO ranking than yourself, you might only get like 1 or 2 points, or you might even get 0 points if their ELO ranking is way lower. And the same is true for when you lose. So if you lose against someone who has a very high ELO ranking compared to yours, you'll just get like a small point reduction, and they'll gain a few points. So it's basically like a very, very smart system to start ranking countries. The ELO ranking, I can pull this up. Let me quickly tell you. So, kind of the top ELO ranking that you can get is it's approximately 2,000. So, like the best world chess player in the world has around 2,000 ELO ranking. The best Age of Empires player in the world has around 2,000. So that's kind of like the highest ranking you can have. Brazil right now has an ELO ranking of 2,169. Argentina has an ELO ranking of 2086. Spain has an ELO ranking of 2068. Then it's Netherlands, France, Belgium, Portugal, Italy, England, Denmark, Uruguay, Germany. So according to the ELO ranking, you would have to say that Brazil is the top favorite. But Argentina also just lost 15 points because they lost against Saudi Arabia. So that's like a big upset. Right, so like
that's wild.
Like if you're a really high ranked ELO player and you lose against someone who has a super low ELO ranking, you directly lose a lot of points, right? So there might be some distortion here, but according to this ELO ranking, Brazil is the best team right now. Because the interesting thing about ELO ranking is that it's updated with every game, so it's also a trend. Like you can have a clear trend of how things are going, and it also takes into account the quality or the difficulty of your games. So Argentina has maybe won 35 games, but probably over the last 35 games they played a lot of weak countries. And Brazil probably in the near past had a lot of difficult games, which is why their ELO ranking is slightly higher.
So high.
Yeah. So basically, statistically it's going to be Brazil or Argentina. I already did some calculations, and I think both of them have like a very, very similar probability outcome. Brazil has a probability outcome of 15%, and Argentina has a probability outcome of 14%.
Huh.
So despite the fact that they're like the favorites, it's like pretty low probability, but between those, it's like a 30% probability. And you can actually, so there's this one interesting thing. You can use XG, which is, the probability of how many points are getting scored, and you can combine it with the ELO ranking, and then you can look at every game, and there's like a actually a very even distribution line between weighing the XG with the ELO ranking, and it's basically a 500 point, and this is like a perfectly like almost like a really, really clear distribution. Like you have all these dots on the graph, and they form a clear like a line, like, and it's not like an exponential or anything, so that you can have a clear trend. And statistically, if you have 500 points difference, you have an XG difference of 1.8. So you can kind of, with using that, you can predict the individual games, and you can like map it out, and you can see who's going to advance in the groups, etc. So if we, for example, take, let's say Netherlands has an ELO ranking of 2050, if we compare them to a country that has an ELO ranking of, let's say, 1500, like Ghana, you would expect the Netherlands to win 2-0 against Ghana.
Oh,
like
wow.
And so it makes it makes a lot of sense, essentially, like this distribution. If we just take another example, so you have, for example, Denmark is at 1900, and if we compare them to a ranking that's, let's say, 250 lower, you would be playing against a country like Sweden, and there it would be a 0.9 XG difference. So Denmark, according to this model, would win, statistically speaking, 1-0 against Sweden, which makes sense, so you can use that. It's like a pretty good statistical model. So my guess is,
so Brazil and Argentina.
Yeah, it's going to be, statistically speaking, Brazil has like a slight higher chance, but then it's soccer. There's so many different, there's so many different elements. There's like
variables.
randomness. I
only hope that Europeans have dominated the last 3 or 4 World Cups, so I hope that we see it will be great to see someone from Asia, but at least from South America, I like that. So
yeah, for sure. And Brazil is, I think, well, Argentina would deserve it. It would be great for Messi. It would also be great for Neymar in Brazil after their like trauma of 2014,
Yes.
so where they lost 7-1 against Germany. So any of those countries have high probability. I think actually, surprisingly, one other factor also is the seeding. So the strength of your group and who you're most likely going to play in the next stage, etc. And England actually has one of the easiest seeding according to this particular model.